We're going to look at three kinds of drawing today: line, continuous line, and then tone. I start with just measuring my object, and I notice that it's a square from top to bottom on left to right, and so I'm just going to draw three faint squares on my paper. The first drawing is a line drawing. I'm just loosely going around describing the shape. So it's kind of continuous movement as I get to understand the shape, the curves, the lines in it, and I'm not really worrying about tone. But I do go in later with darker lines just in some areas to describe some shadows. Some of the edges, some of the lines will be darker than others. You'll notice that my lines are quite soft. There's a little flick at the end of them, and that allows for some softness in the description of what I'm drawing. The next drawing is a continuous line, so I just roughly draw in the shape, but then I don't take my pencil off the paper. You can see that this turns into almost like a cartoon or a description of the pepper that I'm drawing, but I just go around and I describe the shapes, and it becomes a really simplified, almost stylistic version of the pepper. The next drawing is going to take longer. It's a tonal drawing where I'm going to be using cross-hatching. So because I'm quite used to the shape of the pepper now from drawing it twice, I can just quickly draw in the basic shape of what the object looks like. I don't draw all the lines, but I kind of just guide myself through it. I then start cross-hatching. Cross-hatching is vertical or horizontal or diagonal straight lines that go in rows. And it's not the same as colouring in. I'm drawing individual lines in different directions to describe the tone. In the pepper that I'm drawing, there's lots of variations in colour and tone, and I change the direction or the layers of my lines in order to describe that. Some directions will feel easier to you than others. Some will be a little bit more difficult, and you can just move and change the paper. You also need a really, really sharp pencil. We want to be able to see all of the separate lines. And so what I do, I just go through, I layer and layer and layer and just keep changing directions and try and squint my eyes so I can see the changes in the tone. If you squint your eyes, things become a little bit out of focus, and you can see the difference between the tones a little bit more easily. They turn into blocks of shapes, and it's slightly more, it's abstracted, and so you can then use the blocks of shapes to draw into. You're also going to need in this one to draw the shadow on the floor around the object. Again, this is different shapes, different lines of cross-hatching, and I'm just layering and changing those. I go over and over and over, darkening certain areas so that there's real depth. So that's it. 3 different drawings: a line drawing, continuous line drawing, and finally a cross-hatched tonal drawing.